And good evening and welcome to Law Call on this Saturday evening. As you can tell, we've got the full panel in tonight. Our topic, car and truck and motorcycle accidents. We've probably all been involved in one, or you know a family member, your mom or your dad or aunt or uncle, somebody has probably been involved in a high-speed, serious car accident. Tonight is your show. If you were the one who were accidentally injured by somebody else's fault, we want to hear from you. If you caused the accident, you also, we'd love to hear from you tonight. Find out everything that you need to do as well on your side of it, and make sure you've got everything worked out with your insurance company. It's something that has affected all of us. It's kind of like the weather. Phone lines are now open, 896-0713 or 1-800-349-0713. Joining me as he does always from the law firm of Reeves and Mestayer, my friend and your friend on Saturday night, Matthew Mestayer. Matthew, good evening.
Good evening.
Car and truck accident, something you have spent a long time, a long bit of your career working on.
I have, Kenny. And, you know, we talk about a lot on the show, kind of your legal toolkit, right? Things you need to know as you go about your daily business, wills and estates, things like that. And unfortunately, car accidents, what to do when you're in a car accident or a family member's in a car accident, what to do, the steps you should take. Everyone needs to have a basic kind of working knowledge of how to handle that, because it's important. And what you do early on in a case, and when an accident happened, really, if it's not handled correctly, can kind of put your case on a bad track and really kind of cause you trouble down the road. So,
Matt, big show. You brought in special guest, never been on our show before.
That's right.
Hard to believe, had over almost 300 attorneys on the show.
Yep.
We found a new one. I don't know how we did.
Well, he's young.
I don't know what. Oh, he's young.
He might have been in high school.
Give me the introduction. Give us the introduction.
Well, we are lucky. We're with a real expert tonight, Ryne Hand from Gulfport. And then the cool thing about this, Ryan worked on the other side.
What?
For the beginning.
Who?
Yeah, no
the
kidding.
Insurance side?
Representing insurance companies, the first part of his career.
But
now, of course, he has seen the light. He's gone to
justice.
He's
met Yoda.
Right,
he's converted over to the...
Absolutely. So now he's on the right side of the law.
Ryan, welcome to the show. Really appreciate you being here tonight, and your family as well. Perfect show for you with it. Yes, it's lovely to have everybody here tonight. Tell me a little bit something. When you do get into that car accident, the dust finally settles, the screeching stops, and you kind of look around and you're like, oh, my seatbelt worked, because you always wear your seatbelt. Right. What do you tell your clients? What's the next thing you want them to do once everything finally slows down after a car accident?
The first thing is, if you're injured, obviously seek medical treatment as soon as possible.
Right.
And you might have to call 911 to do that. You might have some private transportation there. Of course, talk to your attorney and make an insurance claim. But a very important thing that people sometimes don't do at the scene is take pictures.
Really?
Pictures and videos of the accident scene, of the cars, the people involved, and make sure to get everybody's names and addresses. And then, of course, if you are in an area where there's businesses, a lot of businesses have cameras now.
Oh, great
and
idea.
You can possibly get some surveillance footage, from ring doorbells, things like that.
Sure.
Simply safest.
Sure.
And that can sink or swim a case right
How
there.
about that? Well, that's a great idea. Photos, I would think you jump right out, but I guess in the fog of the accident, you might think the police are going to take the photos, and I guess they're not required to, huh? I mean, they don't.
They're not required to. Sometimes they will.
Right.
And a lot of times an insurance company will get photos taken at some point, but
the night of, the day of.
Right.
Gotcha.
If you're not injured, too bad, take the pictures.
Gotcha. Right.
Get the pictures. Right.
Yeah. Absolutely right.
Or have your wife do it.
Or your somebody.
Wife do it.
Somebody.
You're all goofy out there walking around the median.
Yeah.
Personal experience. All right, as we get the phone lines lined up here, really getting hot here too. We got the email question of the week. Matthew, this one came into the email box this week. It's from Jess, and right off the bat, I knew you were going to like this one. A little lengthy, but just stay with it here. Yep. My cousin was killed when his motorcycle was hit with an SUV. It's been suggested my cousin was speeding, but the other driver definitely turned in front of him. If they can somehow prove that my cousin was over the speed limit, does that mean my family has no claim against the driver? And what I liked about this question is sometimes you can have a mistake and people think, oh gosh, I might not have any legal rights.
Right.
But just because you make a mistake doesn't mean you're out of luck, are you?
Absolutely not. And there are kind of three things I want to kind of touch on quickly on that. First of all, let's talk about the speeding aspect.
Sure.
If the other driver was a commercial driver, for example, they have like a black box, kind of like an airline does in aircrafts. And so we have experts that'll go out there, download the data, so we'll know exactly what kind of speed is going. And second thing, and it's actually something that Ryan kind of touched upon, is video cameras. They are prevalent. In fact, just this week, Kenny, I had a case, and I was looking at the accident report, and they made a mistake on the accident report. All right, they had some. So what I did, I sent an investigator out, and I called a service station where the accident occurred. Sure enough, they had video of it, and it kind of changed the whole case.
Wow.
And, because there was a mistake. So those are kind of two critical things. But no, listen, people, it's called contributory negligence. We've kind of talked about this. If, for example, there was some speeding, right, but still the car turned in front of him. So they would be principally responsible, principally negligent, but if there was speeding, that's something kind of jury will kind of look at and factor in on how much. And ultimately, if it goes to that, they'll be asked to assign percentages of fault between the parties.
Sure.
Say like the turning car is 90%, the speeder 10% or whatever.
Sure.
So that's how that
so
kind
they
of
can work on that side.
Yeah.
Ryan, your thoughts?
I agree with everything Matthew said.
See, that's not how the show works. I need a little push and pull here. I need a little cross point fire.
Kenny, I had a moment there.
Did you have a
Yeah, I did. I don't hear that often.
We don't get that with Jim's on the show.
No,
we do not get that with Jim. No, seriously, what are your thoughts? Matt, spot on here with this one?
Yeah, he is. And just because you might have not done everything right leading up to the accident doesn't mean that your claim is not worth anything.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that it doesn't have merit and it shouldn't be pursued.
Gotcha. Ryan, if you were talking to somebody, not that you couldn't handle this on your own, but it sounds like if there's a fatality, you probably need to seek legal advice. I mean, it seems something, but you need a lawyer to help you out with on this, something like this.
It's in your best interest if there's a fatality to contact an attorney as soon as possible. Yes.
And Matt, we talk about that a lot. I mean, maybe you could do it on your own, but it'd just be really, really difficult.
Oh, yeah, nearly impossible. And let me just kind of add this. Even Ryan will kind of, I'm sure he'll agree completely, and that is, even on your most basic standard rear-end collision accident, you think, boy, this is so simple. Yeah. How could the other side possibly not agree and admit that we're at fault? They will not generally admit that they're at fault. They always come up with some type of thing or angle, or it's their job to do it, and I understand that. But there's always, it's part of every single case that there is a reassignment or argument of, well, your guy did something wrong. We may have done something wrong, but your guy did something wrong as well. So so absolutely that does not close out a claim, but it's part of every single case we handle.
That's hard to believe. It is already time for our first break. Call come in, but did not want to go on air.
Really?
Matthew, she has been involved in a serious car accident. Nothing, life-threatening or anything like that.
Right.
Her family is pressing her, get a lawyer. You can't do this on her own.
Yeah.
She wanted to call in tonight and said that she just doesn't feel comfortable with a lawsuit. The idea of filing a lawsuit against another person who she feels compassion for. So, wanted your thoughts on that.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, I have to tell you, her family is right. She needs to talk to a lawyer. Listen, people call us every single day for car wrecks. They call Ryan every single day for car wrecks. And we immediately don't run out and file a lawsuit. Generally, most of these claims, what we normally do is we work them out. I mean, I try to avoid litigation if we can. I know that I'm a lawyer. It's what I do. It's my stock and trade. But if we can resolve the case in the front end, we absolutely do. So yes, she should talk to a lawyer, and absolutely tell your lawyer that you not really want to run out and file a lawsuit, and hopefully they don't have to.
Right.
Most of these claims can be settled without, but I have to tell you, sometimes the insurance company, they just are not reasonable. I mean, not even cover your medical bills reasonable, and you've just got to do it. But once again, I totally get it. Almost every client that comes in my office is the same thing.
That's a hesitation.
And we try to work it out, and and a lot of times we can. Sometimes you can't.
All right, boys, we got a call here. We've been waiting for this one all night.
Yep.
We're going to go to Waynesboro. Happy to talk to our friends in Waynesboro. Talk to Kelvin. Kelvin, good evening. What can we help you with?
Hey, Kelvin.
Good evening, gentlemen. I was in a car wreck about 3 years ago. And it was a fender bender that I got. More than a fender bender. My head smashed against the windshield. I was stopped at a red light. I got hit from behind. A Wagoneer hit me from behind. I was in a Nissan Altima. My head smashed against the windshield, and I actually lost an eye. Is there any type of legal action that I could take 3 years after?
Ooh. Calvin, I think I'm going to turn it over to Matt. I don't know if we have great news.
I hate to say, sounds unlikely. The general statute of limitations in Mississippi is 3 years for a simple negligence case. Sometimes it's shorter. It can be as short as 1 year if it is, unfortunately, a government vehicle, a county vehicle. If, for example, however, there were minors in the vehicle, it may extend it. There's a Mississippi savings statute. So my short answer is, and I hate to say I don't have great news, you're probably too late. However, call Monday. Let's dig into the details. Let me look at all the different angles, and maybe we're able to, come up with something creative. But 3 years from the date of the accident is the general statute of limitations in a car wreck in Mississippi.
Ryan, it sounds like a pretty serious accident. I mean, that's a major rear-ending collision right there.
Yeah. First of all, I'm sorry to hear that you lost an eye.
I know,
Calvin. I mean, it sounds outrageously painful.
That's right.
But yeah, what you need to do is contact an attorney as soon as you can on Monday morning and speak with an attorney about your rights and how to protect them.
Ryan, let's say this. Let's say Calvin here is just rounding up to 3 years, and we're at 2 years and 10 months. He's vaguely saying it's been 3 years. He still can move on this. I mean, late to the game, but he can still move on this if that's the case.
Absolutely. His rights are not prejudiced at all. If he files a lawsuit, you can go all the way up to the end of the 3-year statute of limitations.
To the last day.
Right.
To the last day of the 3 years. Email question of the week here came in from Jim.
Yep.
It takes a little bit to get through. Y'all just hang here with me. My car was rear-ended. Look at that, another rear-ending. By a reckless driver from outside Mississippi, whose insurance company has deemed that my car was a total loss, but provided me a low ball value. They think they all do that. It is 20% lower than the market value. As my car has only liability coverage, which so many of us have, my insurance company will not intervene. Should I find a lawyer? Ryan, what do you think? Is this one thing, find a lawyer? Can they quarterback this on their own? I like to use that term from Matt.
I wouldn't recommend quarterbacking on your own.
Okay.
Why not hire an expert when you have an opportunity to hire an expert? And definitely that attorney knows how to deal with the insurance company and the adjusters to try to find more value out there than they would probably give the average layperson.
Especially when they're saying a total wipeout right there. I mean, you're talking about some serious money now.
Sounds like, especially rear-end collision.
Right.
It's easy to total a car.
Yeah.
And I can tell you too, it may be, it may not be written in their handbook, the insurance company handbook, but there's no question in my mind. I know when they're dealing with an individual and they don't have representation, and basically they know that they know the rules, and they're also counting that the individual probably doesn't know the rules. It always seems to me that they handle the claim accordingly, meaning that it's a low ball kind of analysis. So it shouldn't be that way, but that's the way it seems.
Matt, the fact that they know that our email question person here has only liability insurance, is that a factor? Is that going to be a factor, them knowing that there's nothing else on the other side, or are they just looking at the dollar and the cents of the car accident?
Just looking at the dollars and cents. And I know clients have called me, and the insurance company said, "Oh no, you don't have to talk to a lawyer. Oh no, we got this.
Right.
Oh, you don't need to do that." And that'll give you a pretty good idea, if it's the right thing to do when they're telling you not to. Kenny.
Ryan, I had an incident, and they literally, before I even had a chance to talk to Matt,
car accident,
they sent me a settlement via email. Like, literally, click here, we'll have the check in your account, or the transferred by the end of the evening. And I'm like, quick,
They've
crazy.
Clearly been watching Law Call.
Clearly, I've been watching
they'll do that. Thank you for having me.
Oh man, you did great. Thank you for having me on the show. Really do appreciate it. All right, we'll back next week with Jim Reeves as we talk about all sorts of personal injury stuff. But until then, my friends, good night.